All right, well, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited about these episodes because we kind of get to meet the fighters and hear your story, and all leading up to the fight night. Other than today, you probably won't see your opponent until the night of the fight, and it's fun to get to know each of you and why you're doing this and what your background is. So first, tell us your names, and we'll start with you.
My name is Mary, Mary Reed. Some people might recognize that last name. Mm-hmm. My wife's a fighter as well, or has been a fighter in the past.
Nice.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
And what do you do?
I'm a CNA, so I work at 2 different assisted skilled nursing facilities in Riverton and Salt Lake.
Nice.
So. Katie Williams. This will be my first fight, so just a pretty generic name, but I am a detective.
Nice.
For a local police department.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
We did a police versus fire match, like a themed match.
Andrew was telling me about that.
Yeah,
and fire dominated. Sad.
They did. And, well, when you get to work out all day, for your job, but they.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate that comment.
I'm a cop fan. So.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it was exciting. Like they had the whole city show up, like for the Lehigh. We had a couple Lehigh PD here fighting, and the whole city showed up to support them, and it was awesome. We sold out the building, and it was like just a random, hey, let's try this. And we went to every department, every firehouse, and it took a while to get all the fighters, but once we got it, they really trained hard and they put on a good show. With the executive fight, when you guys are fighting in, we get hundreds of people submitting the application, so getting fighters is not hard. So, but then you have to work on getting the right matchups and stuff like that. So, that being said, how's training going so far? How's your camp started?
It's going good. I started training the second I got the confirmation. So the second my contract was signed,
Nice.
I wasted no time getting started. It's been intense. I've pushed my body to limits I didn't know that I had and pushed past them. So
Good.
It's been fun. I've honestly, more than anything, it's just been really fun.
I'm glad to hear that.
So yeah.
How's camp going for you?
Yeah, it's been great. I also started as soon as I got confirmation. Everything hurts at this point in the game.
Same.
But I've been able to go to the chiropractor, and that has been a game changer for recovery. I'm actually doing that right after this.
Good.
So just get to go in once a week, and all of my muscles that hurt, you kind of walk out of there feeling a little bit younger and a little bit more revived and ready to keep pushing, like she said, pushing past your limits that you didn't know you had, and just giving it all that you can for the 9 weeks.
Yeah, it's amazing how the science of recovery is becoming more accepted and known. Like back in the day, you worked out and you were sore and hopefully you were eating right and that was about it. But now we're spending a lot more time focused on recovery so that you can train harder and you can keep pushing yourself to these limits and your body doesn't have to pay for it like it used to. If you get a chance, do the cryotherapy and red light therapy because it
Game
is,
changer.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Like I'm naturally a skeptic when it comes to that stuff, but I was actually training for the last fight I was in and did red light every day. And I thought I was, my first day of sparring, I'm always counting on being sore and I went and did red light the next day. I'm like, man, I guess I didn't spar hard enough. And then pushed myself and still wasn't sore. I'm like, okay, this is amazing. So I put one at my house and it's just a daily thing now. So have you tried cryotherapy yet?
I did. So I've done red light and cryo.
Cool.
And I actually got to do green light and red light therapy.
Good.
I get chronic migraines. And so he was telling me about that green light can be really effective for that.
Yeah.
And it has absolutely been a game changer as well because that's the only thing that inhibits my training is if I get a migraine, I'm pretty much down for the count. But it has been so helpful.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well, I'm
been
glad
a
to
game
hear that.
changer for sure.
Awesome.
Yep, I've done both of them as well, and the cryo is so much better than an ice bath.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to stay in there longer, and
Yeah,
the
I feel
contrast
like
is awesome.
So I turn my pool at home becomes my cold plunge during the winter, and I feel like the initial shock of cryotherapy is not as bad, but the longer you're in, the worse. Where I think cold plunging, that initial shock is horrible, but it's easier as it goes. For the stuff I've done, but you don't have to get wet. And
Yeah.
So what takeaways so far, now that you've kind of experienced, you're in the middle of camp, we're 7 weeks out from the fight, signing up for this and now experiencing this, what have you learned the most?
The biggest thing for me, this is not something I expected. So I keep looking at this as like a gift that has fallen into my lap, you know. When I put my name in for the fight, I had almost zero expectation that I would get this far. And so that really I had to like change my perspective, and that just came from my lack of confidence as a fighter. And so that's something that I've definitely been working on. I didn't realize that there was so much mental work that would have to be put into this as well. So the physical stuff, you know, you're pushing and like it's hard, but like there's a lot of mental barriers that I've had to really break down and push past. And my coaches and my team has been absolutely incredible and patient in helping me do that in a safe space. And so I'm incredibly grateful to them for that. But that's the biggest thing. Like I'm doing so much work on myself physically, and I thought that would be the goal, you know, to be physically ready. But I think if you're not mentally ready, then it doesn't matter how physically fit or trained or conditioned you are, because if you can't break down, if you're in the ring and you get, you know, you're getting frustrated with yourself, you're frustrated with your opponent, and, you know, you shut down, then that's a fight, you know.
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest thing that I'm like, I've had to really take a step back and be very patient with myself.
I'm glad you said that. I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people for training and just how they attack the day. Sometimes reminding yourself just to be patient with yourself, that you're learning that if you're not uncomfortable and things don't feel hard right now, then you're not training hard enough, right? It shouldn't feel comfortable. This is something that you've never done before, and to be ready to fight in front of a sold out audience is going to be uncomfortable. And that mental awareness is super important. And then also giving your best, but then forgiving yourself, knowing that you're going to feel, you're going to lack a little bit of confidence, and then all of a sudden it'll click and you'll feel like, I'm ready. It's like usually fight week, it kind of the curve, it goes up real super intense, you start tapering down, and then fight week, all of a sudden the calm starts to occur and you feel ready. So what have you learned and taken away?
Yeah, definitely that mental strength. A big part of why I wanted to do this was I'm trying to be better at being uncomfortable, or being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so going in and not feeling like I'm necessarily prepared and being my own harshest critic has been something that I've had to work on. And Andrew, your brother, he was the one that said to me, he's like, it's okay to be your own harshest critic, but you also got to be your biggest fan, your own mental biggest fan, because you're the one inside your head at all times, and how you talk to yourself is a big factor in how this fight is going to go. So that's
so
kind of
true.
a switch I've had to flip in my brain.
I'm glad he said that. Andrew, I think he has a lot of experience, and I think his challenges have always been being mentally calm. And he has overcome that. You know, obviously I've known him since he was born, but he's my younger brother. Seeing him develop as a fighter, it was not something that just clicked for him. He put in the time, he put in the work, and then he got the confidence. And I think a lot of it happened when he knocked me out and beat me. And from there, it was like, oh, I could beat up my older brother. And then he started taking off. So it was definitely humbling for me, but also really excited for him. And now watching him as a coach and how he relates to people and helping people overcome that mental toughness, it's essential.
Yeah, I really do believe that the only limitations we have are the ones we create for ourselves. And so, like, throughout my training, it's been big for me. I feel I've had to readjust my perspective. Again, in so many ways, I've had to readjust my perspective. But one of the biggest ways I've had to do that is, like, I'm like, oh, I feel really alone right now. But then I was like, wait, I'm going to be alone. When I get up in that ring, it's just me and you. Like, there's my corners can't get in the ring with me. They can't talk to me. Like, everything that I'm doing right now, I have to be in charge of that. You know, I have to be in charge of fixing my mindset, fixing my perspective, readjusting when I need to readjust, and like realizing that the limits that I thought that I had that were just built into me are limits I gave myself. And since I've been able to recognize that, I've been able to work towards pushing past those.
Good. I think realistic expectations are important too, right? It's the limitations that we put on ourselves when you overdo it, right? I think is what you're meaning to say is that I can't dunk a basketball. I just physically can't, no matter how much I would want to. And so I realize that, and then I work within what I can do, and then you don't create the limitations on that. So in boxing specifically, when you create that calm and that focus, what happens is the game starts to slow down for you. So I'm sure when you first got in the ring and you took the first punch and you're going against somebody that might be better than you currently, it's like, how did I get hit? Where did I get hit from? Why did I get hit? And all those thoughts are going through your head. And some people, they get hit and they just want to hit back, right? And other people, they're like, okay, I need to learn from this, and it becomes this big mental challenge. And it's not necessarily wrong either way. It's just being aware of the situation and then reacting appropriately. And so I think as you learn the skill of boxing and learn that this is like a chess match, this is not this aggressive, I want to kill them, they want to kill me. I always stayed calm for some reason. I kind of approach sports that way. Instead of getting hyped and amped and you see like people, you know, pumping themselves up and then getting in the ring. I don't think that works well in boxing. I think what works well in boxing is calm and focus, right? There was a guy that I had sparred, and I'd hit him with like a jab pretty square in the mouth, and then he just got so angry and wanted to come at me, and he was probably better boxer than I was, but he lost it mentally. And so then I started picking him apart. My takeaway from that was I wanted to get people upset because they would stop thinking and they would just react. So learning to stay calm and sticking with the game plan and staying focused is a big advantage. So as you learn that in your training camp, especially what you're learning in class, what your coaches are teaching you, all of that translates into the ring. If you have bad habits out in class, you're going to have bad habits in the ring, and so on and so forth. How have you stayed calm and stayed focused?
I think it's just one step at a time. It's okay. Especially in sparring, because like you said, that first time you step into the ring and you get punched in the face and you're like, wait, like this is the heavy bag never punches you back, right? So that's a huge learning curve. And those first couple minutes in the ring, you're like, what did I do to myself? But it's being able to learn from that and being able to know that you have people in your corner that are fighting, not only fighting for you, but there to coach you, there to teach you what you need to do to be successful is huge. So just trusting the process is a big part of it for me, knowing that I'm putting in the work for myself. I have other people helping me put in that work, and just knowing that at the end of the day, I'm going to leave it all in the ring, and that's all that I can do. Yeah,
I think that's a healthy way of looking at it. What do you think that you're getting mentally focused and prepared? I got to spar with you a little bit or coach with you a little bit the other day, and I see that you get really focused and you listen well. What do you think has been helping you in camp?
I think the biggest thing for me, anybody in my life will tell you, and I will attest to this, that I'm a learn the hard way type of person. So first time I ever sparred, I didn't take any of the advice that was given to me. And it was just, and I learned from that, obviously, the hard way. But I know how frustrated that I have a tendency to get. So the biggest thing that I have been working on is I've been working on staying focused and staying calm. And it's really helped me to just take it, like kind of like she said, like one punch at a time. But I know how terrible and like how badly I'll get just crushed in sparring if I let that frustration take over, because I have no plan. I'm not calm. I'm not focused. Like I'm just trying to stay up. But I know how I get, like I've been on the other side where I'm calm, I'm focused, I'm listening to my coaches, I'm listening to what they're calling at, and I'm trying to take that direction. And if I shift my focus to that rather than my opponent who I'm frustrated with, if I can take their advice, then I can implement that onto my opponent. And it's a lot easier for me to stay on one thing, which is the advice. What am I supposed to do next? Am I defense? Am I offense right now? You know, like it helps me keep my thoughts more controlled when I'm in the ring.
Yeah, which is going to be when you're there and the crowd is screaming and the adrenaline is going. It's interesting, and I love seeing it because when you experience it for the first time, you'll know what I'm talking about. Is that the controlling your adrenaline is the whole game plan, right? Like when you go into camp and you're learning boxing, you're learning skills. What are you good at? What weapons should you be using? All of those, you know, pulling weapons out of your gear bag, and I'm going to use this, and so I'm going to go into the match or the bout, and then when the bell rings and that tunnel vision starts to happen and you're in fight or flight mode, and you know you'll see a lot of first time fights where it turns into just big haymakers left and right, left, right. And the reason that is that they didn't spend enough time on the adrenaline control and keeping their mind focused on the game plan, right? And it's just reacting. And so we tried a short training camp one year, like 6 weeks, and it was not good. Like we needed those extra weeks to kind of help people really learn a game plan and stick with a game plan and be effective in sparring, which then translate to the fight night. So with that in mind, what do you think your game plan is going to be going in?
I feel like that's something I'm still developing, and that's a little hard because you're like,
how much
right
do I want to
there.
say?
Yeah.
How much do I not want to say?
Keep those cards close to our chest.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is just going to be keeping that level head, being able to turn that. It's okay to be scared, right? But turning that into an excitement. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity that a lot of people don't get to experience. And we're kind of a couple of the lucky that do get to experience and in the way that this has been set up. And so just taking that all in while trying to remain calm and turning that, you know, this is something that's a little bit scary into, you know what, this is going to be the best 3 minutes of, you know, a part of my life. So just making the most of that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a rare opportunity that you guys are stepping up to the plate and answering the call. I think it's very admirable just to even do this, right? But if you're going to do it, you might as well do the best that you can, right?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing, I know I have what it takes to step into the ring. I'm polishing up the things that need to be polished up. But for me, my game plan when I get into the ring is going to be one punch at a time. Staying calm, staying focused on my opponent rather than this crowd or, you know, anything like that. Like I really do believe that when that time comes that I'll be ready mentally and that will translate into my fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will. I think it takes a certain type of person that wants to do this, and I've explained boxing to people over the years in different ways, but I often, when we start talking about boxing, and common answers are, you know, I would box, but I don't like being punched in the face. And I go, well, I don't like being punched in the face either. You know, like,
Does anybody like that?
I don't think that's what you sign up for.
Yeah.
You're signing up for the risk and reward, right? Like if boxing were easy and the penalty of losing or getting punched didn't hurt, then it wouldn't be rewarding, right? And so what I love about boxing is that you are taught and you're penalized right then. Like, and if you don't put in the time, the work, and the effort into honing your skills, those penalties are severe, right? And taking punches and is very uncomfortable. And so I think boxing, you can learn to be okay with uncomfortable. Like, again, I don't like being punched in the face. I don't want to get hit, but if it happens, I'm okay with it. I learn and adapt and adjust and grow. And I think that's how you can tackle anything, right? Is that whenever there's a penalty that's severe like that, you definitely take it more seriously and with caution and with respect, right? I think that helps you. Like, I think you'll see this with your careers and your personal lives and how you handle problems, that there's a lot of correlation between how you handle this training camp and fighting in the fight night with how it relates to all kinds of areas of your life. Have you guys noticed that?
Absolutely. Boxing, my job is a big reason why I got into boxing, because me learning this skill helps me out on the street. Helps me get home to my family every night safe. So this definitely is something that I take seriously. And the reason I got into it was to help in other aspects of my life. And I've seen what a big impact it has had being, again, comfortable with being uncomfortable. I've had so many people since I announced this fight on, Instagram and Facebook saying, why are you doing this? Why are you putting yourself in that sort of situation? But that's how you learn.
Absolutely.
You learn when things are hard, and you learn when you give it your all, and you learn when you're uncomfortable, and when pain's involved, you're definitely going to learn. And so seeing that relate to not only my home life, my work life, it's all just kind of come together and been a really big thing for me mentally and physically.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. How about for you?
When I got into boxing, I had just moved to Utah, and I moved here alone, so I was really looking for a way to just defend myself, if the need ever arose. And then I fell in love with it, and I had no idea that would be something, like a sport that I would fall in love with. I worked in surgery for 5 years, so I worked at Intermountain Medical Center, the Trauma One Center. So you have to be, when you're dealing with those, and I'm sure you can relate to this as a detective, like when you're dealing with those high stress situations, your only choice is to be calm. There's no other way to get through it. When you have a patient with a gunshot wound to their chest coming in, you have to be able to set your emotions aside and do what you need to do to save that patient. And like I said, I'm sure, that translates to whatever, and so boxing helped me, especially like sparring more than anything. And this just even goes more to what I was saying about the mental aspect, like being able to get into the ring with a calm, level head and get through a 3-minute round, right? Without freaking out, without getting frustrated, without getting upset, like being able to control that adrenaline and keep it at bay while you're doing what you need to do. That is exactly what I have to do at work every day. And so there's just so many ways, like I couldn't even name them all. There's just so many ways that boxing, it's made me a stronger person. It's made me a more confident person. It's made me a more capable person. And I really believe that the further I go in this sport, which is absolutely my plan to keep going.
Good.
I know that it'll just keep reshaping me and molding me and making me better.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And it is interesting, those correlations in both of your fields, careers, growing up with parents as cops and family with medical stuff. And it is very similar because there are challenges and you have to be focused in intense situations. And boxing has that. The other thing I love about it, it's kind of our slogan or mantra for this year's fight night is, fight one, fight all kind of thing. And we did the red and the blue teams a little bit different this year, where the red gyms and the blue gyms don't really cross paths. And it's cool to see people stand behind the fighters and get behind the fighters, and being able to go work out at your gyms and all the tribe members getting excited about you guys fighting, and you're representing them in their gym. And it's so true. Like with Legends, one of my goals with this was always the tribe mentality. Our first core value is belong. We want people that when they walk through the doors, no matter what your walk of life is, we don't care. We're just glad you're here, and we're going to teach you something. And whatever skill level or whatever path you want to go with boxing, wonderful. We want to make sure it's available to you. And I think what excites people about these fights and why I love doing them is it really validates our system and gives a reason to get people excited about what you guys are doing. You get to showcase what is being done in class every day. And the same combinations, the same movements, the same things you learn in class, that you're next to somebody that may never fight. They have no desire to fight. They just want to be part of the tribe and have a good workout. But they get to see that everything that they're doing, you're doing, and you're in sparring class and they're watching, and now they get to come see you live or watch it on pay-per-view. It's fun, and it really does create a closeness with this tribe. So I think being able to put on a show for your gym and for your family and for your coworkers and for whoever, they do get behind you. It's kind of the fight one, fight all mentality. So we'll kind of end on this, and any final remarks or message that you want to say to your fans about what you plan to do and how you're going to win without divulging your game.
I don't know. I'm just like, my coaches, my corner, my gym has been absolutely like, there's just not words to describe how incredible they've been for me. One of my coaches is training alongside me. Her goal at the beginning of this was to do what her fighters were doing, and so she's right there with us.
Awesome.
And that for me is like, that's huge, because she does not need to be training at the level that I'm training, right? Like, there's, at the end of these 9 weeks, there's no fight for her in it, but that solidarity is just absolutely incredible, and it motivates me, because I would love to be able to do that for, a future fighter or something. And so it's incredible to see how every aspect of my team helps me in different ways. And I grew up with very few people in my life. I lost my parents when I was young, and there was just not a lot of solidarity in my life. And so it's just so fun. We have such a good time, and it's incredible to have them. I mean, I would absolutely consider them to be my family. And at the end of the day, win or lose, I know that I have really gained a lot of incredible people in my life. And, whatever happens in the ring, happens in the ring. But I have a solid team on my side. I love
that. I love hearing that. It is interesting, the translation. And I like the mindset that you have and how you're approaching this. Now that I'm an old man and my fighting years are behind me, it's a lot of fun now to jump in the ring and help the next up-and-coming fighter and people that want to experience this. And I get just as much joy, close to just as much joy, getting in there and sparring with the fighters and showing them a couple old man tricks and of course, not going to fight, but passing on some of that knowledge. And I think after your 9 weeks and now you have this firsthand experience, you'll definitely be able to do that and help the next round of executives or whoever learn what it's like.
Yeah.
How about for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I walked into Legends, it's just a year and a half ago, I had no idea that this is where my journey would end up. I kind of walked into Legends for two things. I knew I needed extra fight training after getting into a really bad fight with a suspect on a call that, kind of went really wrong. And, walking in with my sister-in-law, she's the one that introduced me. And it's a little scary walking into a boxing gym.
Yeah.
And yet, as soon as I did that at Legends, you really do belong. I know it can kind of sound cheesy at times, but that is my tribe. That's my family. Now my husband does it with me. And it's just been huge to have that family there, and then how much it's affected my mental well-being. When I walked into Legends, I definitely was suffering from a little bit of PTSD from some of the fights that I've been in at work. And being able to work it out on that heavy bag, being able to work it out with the coaches that genuinely care about their people have been huge. And so a big goal of mine in this is, I've always wanted to push myself, right? But one of my big quotes that I like is David Goggins, being uncommon amongst the uncommon. Especially being a female and getting into that ring is huge. I'm a female in a very male-dominated field, and that in and of itself is something that I'm proud of. But being able to take this to the next level is something that I want to push myself to do, because that's how you find out how deep you can dig and how much you have to offer the world, and you won't know if you don't try. So.
I couldn't agree more. Very well said. I love the female bouts. They've yet to disappoint. I go back to the first police versus fire fight. We had she was a CIA or FBI agent on the police side and fought a firefighter, and she was just getting worked. And then all of a sudden, something clicked with this gal, and she became a beast, and just the next 2 rounds dominated. And there was nothing left in her tank. Like she literally gave every ounce that we had to like get fluids in her directly after that. There was just nothing left, but she just didn't have that quit in her. Like you saw the switch just turn for her, and she wasn't going to lose. And no matter what, even though she was clearly outmatched, but there was just something in her that she had to dig deep and find, and it was amazing to watch. And this last year, our FightCon, we had the first female main event in Utah's history, and at a sold-out crowd for FightCon, and that bout was unbelievable. I've talked about it so many times. I get excited about it just because it was exactly what I wanted it to be, and rarely does that happen. You know, like I kind of always account for errors or mistakes, and but being the first female main event at the first FightCon, it had to be two women that were trained and prepared and represented the sport well, represented women well, and they did. They brought it. They looked like both of them belonged there, and the crowd was excited. I've never seen the place erupt louder than that, and so I not to create high expectations for you guys, but the female bouts always seem to do very well in a male-dominated industry and sport, and who knows why? It could be something to prove, but I think that when you get down there and you're ready to just show off what you've put into this, that's how you'll perform. So
I will say, and I'm sure you can agree with this. I feel like as women, like as a woman, I expect to be underestimated, and so that's my expectation going into my fight is you have no idea what you're going to get from me, and I want it to be that way, but I think just as like women in a male-dominated sport, just within like I've been to a bunch of Legends gyms, and even there's just so few women that even spar, and so I just want to show. I would like to be, if anything, if nothing else comes out of this, I want to be able to show literally anybody that you can get in the ring and spar to. Like there's nothing stopping you. The limitations that you have, you created those yourself, and you got to get rid of them. You know, like I don't want there to be any question about that. That hopefully there's some women out there that think that they could never do this, that this is not for them, it's too intense, and then they see other strong women doing it, and they're like, man, maybe I could do that, you know? So if nothing else, just to be able to empower the next generation of female boxers. Yeah,
empower is such an appropriate word. We did a couple classes called Empower Her, and started with some amazing stories of empowered women that have overcome some unbelievable things. We had a law enforcement officer, SWAT team lady that her story was just remarkable, what she had to overcome. And then not only survive that, but now she's giving back and saving lives. Like, there's plenty of victims in this world, right? And it's sad and unfortunate, but we all do have choices. Some of them are harder, and some of these course corrections are harder. But I do think boxing does help people even the playing field a little bit. I think when you use boxing for whatever you need it for, it has this amazing way of kind of providing that. And that's why I started this company. Is it meant so much to me my entire life. It's just done so much for me. And so I wanted to give the gift of Legends to anybody that wants to learn boxing. And sometimes it gets looked at differently, because I think there is this expectation of boxing, it's scary and it's a bunch of meatheads, you know, with tattoos and blah, blah, blah. Like that's an image that Hollywood has created, and also a lot of, you know, gyms have done that. Yeah. So I wanted to be able to make sure that doesn't matter if you got 2 left feet and you're uncoordinated, we're going to teach you the best that you're going to be able to get out of those 2 left feet, and that's fine. You don't have to be the next Rocky or the next Muhammad Ali. If you just want to come in and be around people that are glad you're there and they genuinely care about you, then I think you'll find a home at Legends, whichever gym it is, or any boxing gym around there. If you find a gym like that, where culture is the main priority and teaching a skill that matters, that's authentic, I think that's the goal. So, but I want to take some time to thank you guys for coming out here. I know you guys have busy schedules and busy lives, and got a training camp that you're right in the middle of, so I appreciate you being here and taking the time. We'll be excited to get this online. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe and put any comments down below. We'll make sure that we get those questions answered, and we'll glad to see you guys in the next episode.